Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, that podcast that opens up the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media. Welcome. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda. I am a professional psychic medium here in Australia. Not only do I work as a psychic medium, but I'm also a spiritual advisor and have been doing this work for 20 years. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today, is I'm going to answer a handful of my most common questions regarding the afterlife and spirituality. I'm also going to be talking about the current energy. It is tough. It is really tough. If people like myself and other people that work within the spiritual community who pick up on the collective energy are feeling it, if we are struggling, which I am right now, and I know numerous colleagues of mine are, then the energy is difficult. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks to help you navigate what's going on at the moment. It is collectively like somebody has tied a rubber band around everyone's solar plexus and we are all holding our breath. This is not just around the United States election. I know that many of you are waiting with bated breath for the outcome of that. Just like to say that I'll be under general anaesthetic whilst that's going on. But if us light workers are feeling it too, then it is a lot, because like many of my colleagues, I have got amazing shields, and fucking hell, I wish that there was a let up in it. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some other stuff that's going on, and as always, at the end of my episode, we will talk about some predictions that I see coming in. First of all, we are going to answer some everyday questions. I've only got about half a dozen of them, but do you know what? If you have a specific question you want answered, if you have a specific question, I'm talking about regarding spirituality or the afterlife, and something that is troubling you, please send me an email at matilda@mediummatilda.com and I will endeavour to include it in future episodes. Perhaps we can have a bit of a Q&A thing, but also don't forget that if you are a paid Patreon member, you get to join me for coffee morning once a month, where I answer your spiritual questions and also talk about current affairs and things going on. So do not forget about that. It's just your opportunity not to be in the queue with everyone on live, etc. So one of the first questions I get asked a lot is, my loved one took their own life. Are they stuck on Earth? Are they not able to go to the afterlife? And my answer to this is, every single person is currently living their human existence. We are living our human existence right now. When our human body fails us and our soul leaves our human body, then we go to the afterlife. That is every single one of us, irrespective of how you passed. And this question is still attached to the social conditioning of religion, where we had a true belief of heaven and hell, and that bad people and people that unalive themselves go to hell and good people go to heaven. In my experience of doing thousands and thousands of readings with souls already transitioned, that is not my understanding, and I have never, ever in all my years of work come across somebody that is stuck earthside after they passed. So I really want anybody that has been worrying about that, to let go of it. The reality is that many of us grew up within organised religion. Now, before I go any further, I do not want to upset anyone. Just because I don't believe in organised religion doesn't mean to say that you have to not. I think that organised or religion and faith have a really good place in this world, but it's not for me. And organised religion has shown me a side of hypocrisy that I am not comfortable with. That does not mean that I am anti it for other people or will hold judgment on other people for their choices. All I am trying to explain is that many of our beliefs regarding spirituality and the afterlife are formed in our formative years surrounding the religious studies that we all underwent, whether it was at Sunday school, church, temple, whatever it was. For me, I am educated with and through the spirits that I connect with. The other question I get asked a lot is there a life review? Yes, I have the understanding, again, through the work that I do, that when we transition between our human existence and our afterlife, that we do get shown the things that we could have changed, the action that we've taken, the inaction that we've taken, the consequences of things that we did, or the ripple effect of things that we did, and the effect that had on other people. And that allows us to move and be in spirit with a different perspective than we had when we were on this earth. Many people will say, well, my great uncle was an arsehole and I never want to hear from him. He may well have been an arsehole during his time on earth, but he, upon reflection and understanding and with a new perspective, he isn't an arsehole anymore, and he wants to tell you that he is around you with love. That's just a generalized explanation for you. Another question is, do bad people go to hell? I get so hated for this and explanation of this. I haven't, in all honesty, had a lot of bad people or bad feelings of people come through during my readings. Many people that have done wrong by their loved ones actually come through and apologize. There's that new perspective, that new understanding. And I know a lot of people are interested in the Stalins and the Hitlers of this world and the mass murderers, etc. They get the new perspective because they too go through that life review and they too go into the afterlife. Now, what level of reincarnation they are at will often depend on if they are reincarnated, but their soul continues to exist in the afterlife. But it is minus the ego that causes the pain and the different perspective in life. So if you imagine the evil part of someone's life being removed and they are no longer that person in spirit. That being said, I have never brought through anyone that lived a purely evil existence during their earth years. So I am only going on my many years of experience and what I have seen and what I have been shown. But I've never had a Hitler or a Stalin or a mass murderer come forward. Their souls continue, but how they continue, I can't tell you. I don't know everything. I'm sorry. And I'm always 100% honest with you because I want you to understand what I see and what I feel. But there is no heaven and hell in my understanding. And having worked with other mediums as well, some very well known, some not so well known, having worked with a mentor, my understanding is that if somebody does bad on the earth, then during that review of their life, that new perspective, that removal of ego, it means that they are no longer bad whilst they are in their spirit. Another question is, do babies exist in the afterlife? And yes, they do. The soul is there from conception, and sadly, babies are lost in many different ways, and they continue to exist in the afterlife. They are there. They are with those that are connected to their soul family. They are not alone, and nobody is alone when they die. The next one is, do my loved ones hear me? Do I have to speak out loud or in my head? Your loved ones hear you all the time. They love when you speak to them. Often I will have the honour of repeating conversations that you have had with your loved ones in your head. And they hear everything. And you don't have to speak out loud. You don't have to, you can speak in your head. It can be a thought. It can be a conversation. They hear everything. And I know that they love being honoured the way that you honour them. And by continuing to speak to them, you are continuing to honour them. They will be around you all the time and as much as they can. And they can be in various places at once. So they can be with your sister or your brother, etc. So know that they hear you when you speak. The next one that I get asked a lot is, is my loved one in pain? And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that whatever pain they were suffering, whether it be physical or emotional, that is no longer with them, that they are at peace. Once we leave our physical body, after whether an illness or for whatever reason, we are at peace and we are not in pain. I often see those television shows, they're usually comedic, but they sort of depict an array of ghosts that are stuck on Earth. And the one Ghosts, I actually find it very amusing, but they have their injury still. That one of them's still missing their head that they carry around, and one of them's got an archery bow through them. That is not how it is. They are back to how they want to be, back to where they want to be. They are back to a state of peace and certainly not in pain. And often I will get asked about whether, are they proud of me? Did I do the right thing with their things? Did I do the wishes? Did I do it all right? They are not interested in the intricacies of your choices, on whether Johnny got the car or the garage was sorted out or whether Mildred got the jewellery. They just want you all to be happy. And if you are happy, then so are they. It's like when I get asked about finances, the mundane things in this world, spirit aren't interested in. And it's a conversation with a lot of skeptics. It's like, well, tell me the lotto numbers. Do you think that if I had them, I'd be handing them out? I'd be putting the numbers on myself. True story. Tell me who wins this game, or tell me when the house prices are going to get lower, or when the economy is going to get better, or when the stock market is going to crash, or when this bond is going to go up, or this stock is going to go up. Spirit aren't interested in those intricacies. It's mundaneness. It's not something that they have an interest in. Unless it comes up freely, I never ask. So, yeah. But that's just some of the most popular questions I get asked. Know that your loved ones are together, even if your parents are divorced or were separated at the time of passing, even if there was angst in the family and Johnny didn't get on with Peter, they are still likely together and working together for you. Remember that new perspective of everything comes with the review of life. So things change. And even though some people, and this does make me giggle, is that, I can be in a live and someone says, I don't care if they've let go of their ego and they've got a new perspective. I still don't want to see them when I pass. You're going to get that new perspective too. You're not immune. You're going to get that review of your life. You're going to feel those consequences until you are through into the afterlife. And we've got to understand, we're not immune to it. Even if we don't want to see these people now, you will see them then, but you won't care because of that new perspective. I hope that helps with some of the questions, but please send me an email with your questions, either to matilda@mediummatilda.com or info@mediummatilda.com, and just put in the title question for podcast, and you can ask your questions. And it gives me new topics to talk about. So before I jump into talking about the energy and some tips and tricks to help you with the really horrible energy that's going on at the moment, I need to give a big shout out to the latest Patreon members. Remember that this podcast is brought to the world by you guys. You guys make this possible. So you rock. Remember that if you don't know about Patreon, pop along, have a look. The link is in my show notes. It is a different platform that allows me to bring a little bit more to you guys. Remember, we've got the chats going on. There's discounts, there's extra podcasts, there's a Q&A there where every month I will answer your questions about world events. We have a coffee morning coming up for all paid Patreon members. This is for you. I am working on lots of stuff. I know the newsletter is late. I do want to talk about that. I have bitten the bullet and gotten myself a graphic designer that's going to put the newsletter together, which means I only have to produce the content. They make it pretty for you. So there's going to be a delay, but there'll be 2 this month because, I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball. But it is going to make life a lot easier for me and you guys. So giving a shout out to all of my wonderful new Patreon supporters. We have Laura, Colleen Blinoff. We have Erica Matlock, Cindy Centauri, Carrie Crahun, who is joined for 12 months. We have Cecile Smith, who also joined for 12 months. Cindy Brock, Shari, Tammy, Parish Todd, Kate, Jack, Katharina, who has joined for 12 months, Auntie Dawn, Miriam Ayano, Nita Niralu, Shauna, Brandy, Anna, Heather Valentine Mitten, who has joined for 12 months, Melissa Harris, Laura Jimenez, Sheila Morin, China H, Erin Pritchard, Judith Gill, Andrea Seggers, M. Bridget House, Eve, Betsy Schulbred, Diz, Helena Hemera, Brenner, Ashley Clayton, Daisy, Kate, Marie, who joined for 12 months, Carla Ek Alahadidi. Sorry, I have messed that up. I apologise. AFG, Bridget Walker, Michelle York, Marigold, Ayla, Brenda, Harriet Harding, Bailey Glass, Tasha Rochelle, who joined for 12 months, Caroline Heitzman, Lisa Johnson, Natalie, Hatcher, Gina, Sharon, who joined for 12 months, Jamie, Emily, Jamie, who also joined for 12 months. That's another Jamie. April Luton, Marge, Rachel, Judy, Christina Huggins, Eileen Northstar, Enid Seymour, Hannah, Anna Pierce, Kerr, Lauren, Sadie Surratt, Kate Birch, KC, Daisy, Hannah Paulson, Marie, Andre, Tenna, Laurie, Dee Barnes, and Melissa Derryberry. You guys rock. You make this possible. You make a lot of the work possible, because without you, I cannot bring as much content to the Patreon, and that is where my focus is going to be over the coming months, especially after I've had my surgery and I can create a lot more content for you. I'm currently working on my Law of Attraction video, because I know a lot of people enjoy the course that I do, but to have it on the ability to purchase the course without having to attend the course may help some more people. Current energy is really revolting at the moment. As I said before, if it's infiltrating people like myself who have incredibly good shields, who work really hard at protecting their energy, then I know that it's bad out there, that you guys are struggling, and I am doing the best I can to help you. Remember that just listening to a podcast once may not help. Go back, listen to them. Take on board the fact that you can empower yourself by being kind to yourself, by sitting in your energy. There is a meditation recording that I put onto Patreon that may help. It's a very, very, very simple one that can help just bring down that energy. Being in control of our own consciousness is something that not everyone finds easy to do. But I want you to remember that the more you build up your resilience, the easier things like this current energy, this current fear is going to be for you. Knowing that you do not have to take on other people's worries, learning to set your boundaries. Boundaries are so, so important. The words, "I do not have capacity to take this on," should be said to yourself and to others dipping into your energy. Protect your peace at all cost. There are a lot of people out there moving through life on a lower vibration. It is your choice and your option to protect your energy. I get called out on social media a lot because I will call out those that are moving through life on a lower vibration, that are choosing to cause pain or choosing to be provocative because they want the attention, or they are just simply, excuse me, but they're simply stupid. and they are of a lower intelligence. And I'm not just talking about people that haven't had the education, but I'm talking about people that are choosing not to take up the education. Under no circumstances am I going to make light of what you are feeling right now, what everyone is feeling right now. But when we are in the heat of the moment, when we are in that red hot minute of fear, disaster, overwhelm, it is really hard sometimes to see a way out or put our coping mechanisms into place. Because, we've all got coping mechanisms, or we all should have coping mechanisms. I've given enough of them out. Take yourself away from a situation. Go for a walk. Even if it's walking on ground and not grass. Even if it's just taking 5 deep breaths. There is, as I've said, a meditation tape on my Patreon. I am going to add some more because I feel like they're necessary at the moment. Never feel you are alone in this, because many of us are going through the same thing. Fear is just a blocker for you to see the good in life. Take a couple of minutes and write down 5 good things. It may not help you in that moment, but when it sinks in and it can penetrate that anger, it will help. I myself have had to take 5 this week. I think I'm a very resilient person. I've learned resilience. There is not a spiritual person on this earth, and there is definitely not a spiritual teacher on this earth that does not bear the scars of the world and its trauma. Some greater than others, but we all have scars, and we have all learnt to heal, which is why we are able to do the work that we do. So I class myself as fairly resilient. But I've been the target of someone harassing me in the last couple of weeks, as well as the ones that said that they could, that the Democratic Party can control hurricanes, them. But I had a singular person that decided that it would be fun because they were not happy with their reading and they didn't hear what they wanted to hear. Take about not only setting up tens of fake TikTok accounts and repeating exactly what they've said time and time again, but malicious reviews, which, although it's not a crime, it's certainly not something that is very spiritual. And you can see the pattern when people do things like that. I don't believe what you've said because my guides wouldn't say something like that, and I'm going to prove that I am really a malicious person by doing X, Y, Z. And it's taken me a bit by surprise. I know that I put myself out there and that to a certain degree, I have a public persona, but nobody deserves the sort of hate that I have received from one particular person. On my podcast, making a 1-star review that I was fake, not even about my podcast, not even about the content of my podcast, but I was a fake. On Google, left a review. I think there was 20 accounts that they set up repeating exactly what they said on Google. And the latest one I'm going to read out to you because it gave me a really good belly laugh. Once I came to terms with it, it did take Laurie to talk me off the shelf, basically. I had wound myself up about this because it wasn't a review about my topic. It was a personal attack on me. And I want to explain something right now. First of all, I show up. I show up to every single client. I show up on social media. I show up to my Patreon, and I show up here, and I show up on the Sassy Seers. I do all of that, which is more than a full-time job if you include the business side of things, whilst suffering excruciating pain. I can no longer go grocery shopping. I can no longer do things on my own because I cannot walk for long. I cannot stand for long. I cannot sit for long. I am not telling you this because I am a victim. And I've never been a victim in my life. I am telling you this because I can't actually take pain relief because I can't do my job. So if I took pain relief, I could no longer read as a medium because it does interfere with my ability to work. It would be the same as drinking alcohol and sitting down to be a medium. Plus, I'd have no control over what I said. There are the very few occasions when I don't have readings that I will take something to assist me. But I show up. I show up consistently. And I may not be perfect at what I do. I record, I edit, and I produce this podcast myself. And yes, I've had some sound issues, but I'm getting through it. But this person, instead of saying, you know what, Matilda, your content's crap and I don't like it, they left a 1-star review. Please, for the love of all that is good, have a big drink of water before hitting record. Love, I drink about 4 or 5 litres of water a day, plus liquid IV in that water. I can hear the tackies of your dry mouth in every podcast. And for those of us with misphonia, it is unbearable. Love, okay, you may have misphonia, but why should I take into consideration your disability if you are not taking into consideration mine? Two-way street. Like the sound of someone eating with their mouth open or a pot smoker who has dry mouth. If it is a medical condition, there are sprays that help. Wasn't aware there were sprays that help, but yes, it is a medical condition because I do take an anti-epileptic medication for my trigeminal neuralgia. Okay? And again, taking stuff into consideration. They say a true friend will tell you if you have food in your teeth, and I am trying to be a true friend here and tell you that there would be a lot of people like me who want to hear what you have to say but cannot stand the sound of the pastiness throughout the podcast. Well, Miss J, yes, Miss J, I do and will say the initial of your first name. I am well aware of who you are, and a true friend would send an email, would send a text message. Oh, you don't have my telephone number, so that makes you not a true friend. Somebody that has some humility about them, somebody that is willing to learn, somebody that is willing to take into consideration other people's foibles, and somebody that isn't just downright angry would never leave something like that. So you've got your 5 minutes of fame, my lovely. You need to stop doing what you're doing because it's becoming very aggressive now. I apologize if I have the tackies every now and again, but I drink a lot of water. Okay? I have a dry mouth every now and again. And as far as listening to my content, I'd rather you didn't because you are not learning anything and have not learned anything. There are over 30 episodes of this podcast, and it appears that not one episode has sunk in to your mind. And from that note, we shall move on. But that was personal. It's not about my work. It's not, you know what, Matilda's a crap psychic. Matilda's rubbish at what she does. Matilda's not a very good medium. I think I've proved myself more than enough. Not only what I do by giving, but also by giving you access to a lot of my work. And I will not tolerate that sort of behaviour. And whilst we're on the subject of tolerating behaviour, let's talk about boundaries before I just jump into this week's predictions and information that I have. Just because you are a spiritual person does not mean to say that people can walk all over you. I have seen so many people that allow themselves to be treated poorly, badly, unfairly by people, not only friends, relatives, work colleagues, lovers, boyfriends, husbands, family members. And the fact that they fear putting a boundary in place because they're going to be judged for that boundary, we are not tolerating it anymore. Telling somebody to put up with behavior because it's family, telling somebody to put up with behavior because it's their lover or their friend is wrong. Anybody that tries to push a boundary, like people that I block from my social media that get upset about it, if you've been rude or ignorant or abusive to me or my followers, you get blocked. You no longer have access to my energy, and I will not bow down on that. You do not get my energy. Simple as that. And the same should be for every single one of you. You all deserve to be treated with the highest and utmost respect, because I'm tipping many of you listening to this are very evolved, have the emotional intelligence, want to learn to express themselves. And many have not been able to because you have been maybe told when you were younger not to express yourself. Maybe you've been told or taught by parents that boundaries are wrong, that you should let your people have access to you at free will. Please learn your boundaries. Please express your boundaries, because if you don't express them, people do not know. Again, I say, people don't know what they do not know. You are important, and it is important that people respect you, but you have to set those boundaries so that they respect you. So quite frankly, if you don't like the way I talk, and actually it's not always my mouth, you can hear that, I have a habit of usual ADHD, clicking a pen whilst I'm talking. But if you don't like the way I talk, do something about it. Stop being a victim. Everyone should stop being a victim in life. I am sick and tired of snowflakes. Sorry, I've seen so many of them complaining about their life, not willing to make a difference. Do you understand how people asking for information, wanting help, and then not taking it drives me insane? Even on social media, I make a lot of empowering information. My podcast is a lot of empowering information. Yet in my comment section on social media, it's always, I have anxiety, I can't cope, I'm tired, all of that. Do something to help yourself, because there is always something that can help you. I understand anxiety can be debilitating, and I understand that being scared, and people say they've got PTSD about the past elections. I understand all of that can be very scary, but do something to help yourself. If you are continually scrolling on social media, if you're continually looking at the news, if you're looking for answers, that is not helpful. But do you know what is not helpful? Being in my comments section and saying, help me, I'm scared. Can you just tell me one more time? Can you do this? Can you do that? Help, 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 help. Times your question by 1,000. And that's the pulling on my energy I get. That's the neediness I get from people. And on top of that, I can open my emails on any given morning and there will be 5 or 6 questions, personal questions. They're not booking readings. They just want me to answer their life's problems. I'm going through this. Can you help me? If you think you are the only person that emails me, please think again. And then I've got it on inside my TikTok. I don't look at my TikTok messages, by the way. And then I have it on Instagram. So everywhere I turn, I have somebody begging for my help or not wanting to help themselves. I have told you what the outcome of the election is going to be. You do not need to fear it. My predictions never change. Whether they come in on time is a different thing. I know that there's predictions that I have made over time that just, they haven't happened, but they will. And I've put a timing to them. But this election is going to be won by Kamala Harris. I've always said, and until the day Kamala Harris took over as the candidate from Joe Biden, I have said for the last 2 years, the winner of the US election will be a Democratic nominee. I never, ever said it would be Joe Biden. I always said it would be a Democratic nominee. Nothing is changing. But I do want to talk about something that has come up just now. I have said for months, and I stupidly put timing on this, that Donald Trump is unwell. I have said that he has kidney issues that will cause him to have a stroke or very similar. Watch him. I remember last week I said something weird would happen in Pennsylvania. Didn't I? I said something weird would happen. And what happened? Today he was dancing for 30 minutes. Acting like he was somebody in an old age pensioner's home, forgetting he had an audience of people wanting to listen to him. He was lost in space. It is going to get worse over the next couple of weeks. Lots and lots and lots of secrets coming out. I am talking JD Vance. I am talking Trump. I am talking the trying to get Kamala secrets out, but they're not going to make sense. There is lots of secrets coming out and explosive secrets. This is around the election, and that is what I have for now. Be aware, 16th, 17th, 18th is big news regarding politics in the US of A. Expect some headline news. We could even see some shock passing, and I'm not saying a main player, a shock passing or a hospitalization of some sort. It doesn't have to necessarily be Biden or Trump. It could be, but I feel like 15th, 16th, what are we on now? 15th, 16th, 17th, maybe going into the 18th of October, 2024. I do feel there is still a threat, but more so towards Kamala and her family. If I go into Trump's energy or around his camp, sorry, there is a connection between the assassinations and it will be found out. Not too sure about the Butler assassination attempt, but certainly the last two. It feels like somebody is manipulating, threatening. There is some exchange. It's almost like they've got a secret website or a dark web or something that they all communicate on, and people are being coerced to do something. In Australia, I want to warn, I have seen cyclones hitting Australia, not immediately. I feel December, January. I do want to go east coast, sort of top of Queensland and down through Queensland. If you're in that area, prepare. I think it's probably a very hectic weather pattern. It's not something that happens to us every year here in Australia, but it does happen. I do feel something that's going to cause major devastation. And I've just got sugar, so I don't know whether it's around the sugar growing area. Someone can clarify that for me. It's not an area that I am au fait with. I say that about just about every area, doesn't it? I live in this little corner of my world and I need a map. Basically, I need a world map. But I do need, I do need to sort my geography out. New Zealand, my eyes are still on you for this full moon, 16th, 17th, 18th. I don't think it's necessarily land, but around waters around you are likely to be rocked quite extensively. So I want you to be careful of that. I do still see a Christchurch earthquake. Obviously, my timing with that is really off, and I do still see your government coming undone. Obviously, my timing with that is undone, but I'm happy to admit if I'm wrong or my timing is wrong. I am not 100%, no psychic is, but I want to give you that for now. Energy-wise, be really careful who you are communicating with on social media. There feels like there is more bots than humans at the moment. If you have a TikTok account, make sure that you've double securityed it, because there's going to be hackings going on TikTok accounts on a larger scale. I know that there's a lot of hacking going on, but this is on a bigger, wider scale. I also want to talk about the fact that I have seen so much cybersecurity that I feel like mass bank outages globally, not just in one particular country, bank outages, telecommunications outages, even I have seen the hacking of like television stations, news channels, that sort of thing. Feels like over the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will ramp up. I also want to talk about the possibility of a terrorist attack. Again, I have talked about this. I feel like it is it could be before the end of November. If you are in the New York, Washington, Boston, Los Angeles areas, it feels like it's a major metropolis center. Be aware of that. I actually going to say it's more East Coast than anywhere else. If you work in those areas, I can't give you timing. If I could give you exacts, I would. Sometimes people think that I gatekeep. If I had that information, I would give it to you. I am just seeing that there are attempts. Okay, hopefully the FBI, like some of the attempts that I've seen in the past, we get the announcement that they've been foiled. I want to give you Chicago as well for that. Please be careful if you're in those areas. Just know your exits, know your surroundings. Anyway, that's about it for me this week. I'm sure you're bored of me by now. I've just waffled on for 45 minutes. I hope the information I've given you has been helpful. Don't forget to email me if you have ideas or topics that you would like me to address. I understand that many people are saying we want more information on how to communicate with our guides. Do the work. Do the work. Do the work. It's all set out for you in the podcast episodes. And I may think about running some seminars on that, but I'm not going to make more podcast episodes on it because all the information is there for you. I will speak to you next week. Have a wonderful week. And remember, people can only be assholes for so long. But it is your choice whether you react to them or not. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye-bye.